Welcome to Beyond Abuse, and today I want to talk about the healing journey. When I think back through the process of healing, it's an ongoing process, and it happens slowly over time. And there are moments where you can't get enough information, you can't learn enough. And there is no end, I believe, to the information and awareness that we can gain from understanding abuse. If we are in the mode of being open to hearing it, understanding it, wrapping our head around it, and using it for the greater good in our own lives, there's a sense of relief to understand what we were going through. That I'm not crazy, that what I was thinking and feeling at times, I nailed it. I know, looking back at letters I had written or cards, I'm like, oh my God, I had my finger on the pulse. I just couldn't understand why. Why was this happening? It seems so simple to fix the relationship. It seems so simple and common sense that why does this need to keep reoccurring? Why are we still revisiting the same things over and over and over again? Because I didn't understand what I was dealing with. If you are with a narcissistic abuser, covert narcissistic abuser, whatever level they're at in regards to the abuse, I think that's such a huge thing to understand. And once we start to understand and unravel the backwards thinking that the abuser uses, because let's face it, it's not at all healthy. We don't recognize that we're not with a healthy individual. At times I thought that my abuser had Alzheimer's, coming on onset of Alzheimer's. This person had a learning disability. How did I end up with someone who was that naive to know these basics? I couldn't figure it out, and I kept thinking that it was me, that I needed to shift and change something. Well, in my perspective, it aligned me up with being able to look at things from many different directions, to be able to give insight examples, because I was constantly doing that on a regular basis, trying to reframe it to explain it. And at times towards the end, I was very confused and baffled the last couple of years, that I doubted myself constantly. It was, it tends to get as bad as it possibly can get for us, until it snaps and it breaks us open, and it allows us to self-correct, sort of like an undo button. We can't undo the past, but we can undo what would happen in the future, because we're starting to unlearn what we were taught that wasn't serving us. We start to unravel. In my world, I was doing a lot of self-reflection. I was doing empowerment work with other women. I was coaching. I was doing all these things. And I was creating more of these awarenesses. And as I was growing and doing more, the abuse only got worse. I didn't understand it was abuse at the time. But as we're trying to heal, the abuser will try to continue to sabotage even more, because they feel threatened. They feel that you are becoming out of their grips of their control over you, when really there was no need to control anything, because you had no plans of going anywhere. You were in it for the long haul. You weren't going to go anywhere. If you were like me, you were staying. But because of their dysfunction, they can't grasp that you would stay because you chose to stay. You didn't need to have someone control. They needed that control because what they really are is not true. So if they were the real pretend them, you wouldn't go anywhere. But if you understood the lie that they were living in and the fantasy world they wanted us to believe, that's when they need to control us, because they can't continue that path 24/7. They can only pretend to be that wonderful person short term because they've got to continue to do it on the outside world. They need a release. They can't be that on the outside and be that on the inside that they pretend to be. They crack. They can't do it both ways. They need some way to release the anger and be able to punish. And if it's a covert person, such as the one I was with, they do it in such bizarre ways that you don't even recognize you're being punished, but it's leaving scars, internal scars of self-doubt, confusion. It's causing so much physical damage emotionally and psychologically in you that you become a different person than who you really are at your core. So being able to undo past damages, to get a fresh start with a new set of eyes that give you reality of what reality truly is, to be able to unleash the hold others had over you, to help you to self-correct the things that weren't serving you, to be able to adjust and see where things went wrong to fix the future. That is huge, huge. And for me, I see that as an opportunity. Abusers are opportunists, and they take every opportunity to do damage. We now can take the opportunity to do damage control. We're now taking our power back, shifting and changing, and making it become the life that we wanted, that we didn't know how to achieve before. Because there were things standing in our way we didn't see, we didn't recognize. So their missteps and their mistakes that they created in this abuse hold they had, red flags that came off that we started to recognize and we started to question and we started to see things for what it was, their errors in their life with us is what is allowing us to move forward in a much healthier, happier way. But we had to learn how to strip away the pattern in our life, the people who were toxic, and who better to show us than abusers. When we recognize there are teachers, we can use that. We can see them as a teacher who is teaching us the hardest lessons. Because if someone had told us in a kind way, we wouldn't have gotten it. We wouldn't have gotten the awareness that we now have. It seems cruel and sadistic way to have to learn, but taking the cards we were dealt and using them to benefit us. We may not have liked how the lessons have occurred, how the messages came through for us, and what it was that presented itself to be. We can't change that, but we can change our perception. Remember, the abuser had changed our perception on a regular basis, but this time we can change the perception of what we choose to do with it, how we choose to think about it, and what we choose to do going forward with the next steps of our lives. And if you're like me, you're looking for a lot more peace, love, and joy that comes from the other side of the abuse, but being able to see it, process it, and use it, take it for what it can be, that is positive, to see the light, not to see it just in darkness, or not just see it in light, but see it in more balance and clarity. I'm sending you out with much love, peace, and joy out to all of you. Until I see you again, I say ta-ta for now.